car crash cases, defective products, dangerous drugs, injuries, and abuse. Across the state of Alabama, the attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis Wright, are here to serve you. Your tough legal questions answered by our experts. The attorneys with Josh Wright from the law firm of Hollis Wright and host David Lamb.
Good evening and welcome into the attorneys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We so are grateful every time you join us each and every Sunday evening. Now, the way this works, we've got a panel of experts dealing with family law tonight. So if you know someone who could use this program and this information, may want to give them a call, because we're going to cover a lot of ground that is really useful and practical, some practical advice and information. So let your friends know who may need this program tonight, because it's going to be a good one. Hey, before we get started, a couple of reminders. You'll see at the bottom of the screen how you can join our conversation, ways you can communicate with us, and we'd love to hear from you. Also, what Hollis Wright makes available each and every Sunday evening, attorneys standing by live to speak with you as well. So that confidential conversation will take place off the air if you just pick up the phone and give them a call. Leading our conversation tonight on the subject of family law, Tyler Vail from the firm of Hollis Wright. Good to see you, sir.
Yeah, David, thank you. Hope you've had a good week.
I have indeed. Thank you.
Yeah, family law. I mean, we'll just go ahead and just kind of cut right to it. This is probably one of the more important shows that we do. Yeah. And every time we've done this show in the past, and when we do it, we probably have more phone calls, during the show than in any other show. It's just one of those issues where, other than getting a traffic ticket, this family law and family court is probably what the majority of people will be their first interaction with the legal system. It affects every family at some point in their lives, and it's like I said, the people who do this just have a special calling, and we love it. Our law firm, we do not handle these cases. We're a personal injury law firm, and we do some other things. And so, while we get tons of these questions and tons of these issues that come up, we always like to put them in touch with people who practice this full time and have a great understanding of the law. And really, there's really nobody better than Stephanie Hunter. And we brought her here tonight. She's been gracious and kind enough to come here, and she's been doing this her whole career as a lawyer, and she's great at it. And so people should really stay tuned and listen, because she's going to help you probably through some things you're going through that you don't even realize you're going through it. So Stephanie, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for having me. I appreciate you inviting me to your show. I'm looking forward to it, and definitely want to share some good information to your listeners.
That's wonderful. And before we get started, if you don't mind, maybe just taking a minute, just give a little bit of your background so folks can kind of get to know you a little bit better.
Okay. In my previous life, I was a certified paralegal. Worked mostly in personal injury, and then decided I would go to law school so I could understand why lawyers want things when they want it. Went to law school, passed the bar, got my results on a Friday, come to Jesus on Monday, no job on a Wednesday.
Wow.
Not particularly the smartest idea.
Right.
However, I always believe that everything happened for a reason. And so fast forward 7 years, I am here with you and your great audience talking about family law, which is something near and dear to me, as about 85–90% of my practice is based on family law.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much.
What do you enjoy so much about this particular area of the law? Why? Because in talking to you, it does seem to be a bit of a passion for you. Why is that?
Well, family law, I'm all about family. Originally, I'm from Jamaica. Right. And in Jamaica, family is central to our lives. I mean, we're very tight-knit. The community is about family. And so when I came here, I started really just advocating for family, for the betterment of family, teaching GED, helping students as they go through high school and any other colleges they may want to go. And I see a lot of issues that come up that somehow never seem to get addressed. Right. Family court is the place where people go when they're having crisis. And I just believe that being an advocate in family court is the way to knit communities together, to help families to heal and to just be there for them in their crisis.
Right. This is a question, a lot of folks have questions for them. I mean, an issue with a lot of questions. A question we've got here: if I want a divorce and my spouse does not, can they stop me from getting one?
People think they can, but really they can't. You can get a divorce even if the other person doesn't want to. Of course, it's easier to get an uncontested divorce, but by all means, you can file. If you really want a divorce, you can file it. If they don't answer it within the allotted time, the 30 days, you can file for a default judgment and you'll get your divorce. Of course, if they answer, then you're in a contested issue, but you will still get your divorce.
This may take a little longer.
It may take a little longer,
right.
but you will get a divorce.
And, you know, and Stephanie, she's thrown out a couple words just kind of clarify. You know, there's really about two types of divorce. It's either contested or uncontested.
Okay.
And I think just for layman's sake, as you could probably imagine from the terms, if it's contested, that means the folks are disagreeing about it.
Correct.
Or they're going to kind of go at it a little bit. They're not real happy about it. And uncontested may mean that they've kind of already agreed that they need to be divorced, but now they just need to make it official.
Correct. And
so
work out the details of how you go
get the
forward.
things filed and get a judge to actually
Correct.
divorce decree
Correct.
and have it finalized.
Right.
Okay.
In your experience, what's more common, contested or
m-
uncontested?
In my practice, I find a lot of uncontested divorces.
Okay.
The contested divorces that I've had, it's been minor issues that's really, once we go into mediation, we can work those out. And so I've not had one that's dragged on for years, even though I have seen some
Right.
that's dragged on for years.
Yeah.
But usually those are cases where people have accumulated a lot of property
Right.
and there's a lot at stake.
So kind of complicated.
Complicated
Right.
issues.
A lot of the ones that make the tabloids or the news
Right.
are going to be the contested who deal with
Yeah.
big estates, lots of money,
Right.
or just scandalous
Yeah.
Yes.
type affairs you just don't want to deal with.
We
And most
really don't.
folks, right, you know, most common things are, you're just not going to have that issue.
Another question, if I want a divorce and my spouse has not cheated on, abused me, or wronged me in any way, can I still obtain one? So I guess, does there have to be a reason for getting a divorce?
Alabama doesn't require you to really say why you want a divorce.
Right.
However, for the majority of the time, you will find in divorce pleadings, it will be for irreconcilable differences, meaning somehow you've grown apart.
Right.
You know, you may have gotten married early and everybody grew up and you're starting now having different interests. And so that works. You don't have to have cheated on somebody
Right.
to just come home and you realize you don't have a conversation anymore. You almost feel like you're with a roommate, and that's not a marriage. And so why you don't need to say he's cheated or it's some reason this person's got another family,
Right.
then you can still get a divorce.
All right. This is one that a question that I think you kind of see a lot with grandparents nowadays, it seems. But the question is, if I have a family member who has their own child and not properly taking care of the child, is there anything I can do to get custody?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's definitely steps that individuals need to be prepared to take. Whenever you're dealing with the welfare of a child, I think you almost have a duty, even if not a legal duty, to step in and make sure that child's cared for. Now, procedurally and the way it works, obviously I'll let Stephanie talk about that, but
Right.
just off the top of my head, absolutely, whenever you're dealing with the welfare of a child, whether it's reporting to a proper agency to make sure a child's being cared for, or stepping in as a family member and putting your foot down and say things need to change. Now, that's easy to say, but the way it actually occurs,
Yeah.
what we'll hear right now.
Okay, now in those cases, what we find is that those aren't filed. No, before we're talking about divorces, which are filed in domestic relations court.
Okay.
Now with children, now we're jumping over to family court,
Okay.
which is where I spend the bulk of my time. What we normally find is the parents are sometimes the ones who will file because people will leave their kids, you know, your child, and they bring their child to you because for whatever reason they don't want to take care of them. And they will file what we call a dependency petition. So it's a private dependency petition, meaning for whatever reason the parents aren't being parents.
Okay.
And they file that. The court will then set it for a hearing, appoint a guardian ad litem, which is an attorney for the child who will go out and investigate for the court to see what's going on. And that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Or we will have other mandatory reporters who will call. If the teacher at school thinks there's something going on with this child, they will report to DHR. DHR will come out and investigate, and then a
Right.
dependency petition is filed in family court.
So that's the
very
mechanics
good.
of how it happens.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. All right, time for us to take our first break of the evening.
Okay.
So we're going to step aside right here. As we do so, a reminder of how you can join our conversation. We'd love to have you do so. Also, be sure and stay in touch with the firm on social media. Coming up, a reason why that could be especially beneficial to you in just a week. Those details on the way. Stay with us.
I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis Wright, a personal injury law firm. Thank you for watching The Attorneys. Now, we hope you, a friend, or a loved one never needs legal counsel for a case. But if you do, the goal of the show is simple. Provide answers and legal counsel when you need it the most. Your call to the show is free, so if you have questions specific to the show or related to other accident or injury-related topics, you can call, email, or text us. Or you can also follow us on Facebook or Twitter, or simply contact us by going to hollis-wright.com and click on the Contact Us link. We know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us watching The Attorneys.
Welcome back into The Attorneys. Before we return to our conversation on family law, a reminder, attorneys from Hollis Wright standing by for the next, for the remainder of this show, next 20 minutes or so. So just pick up the phone and give them a call. The opportunity, again, speak with an attorney standing by live right now to speak with you. Now, if you are a regular viewer of the show, you may notice we have a kind of a special guest, Alexa, the Amazon Echo Show. You guys are going to be giving that away a little bit later. We'll give you the details on that, but this could be yours, the explanation of how. You got to stick around for that. All right, the Amazon Echo Show. Can I get back to questions?
Please.
All right, here we go. So another question we've got here. If I've been divorced and court gave custody of my children to my spouse and ordered me to pay child support, is there anything I can do to change that?
Yes. I can't say that it happens very often, but there are some events that happen in one's lives that could cause to, file for a modification of a certain, decree that the court entered an order, get an order modified. Right. And, you may know of a few of them off the top of your head. I know one, for in fact, like, it all usually has to do with employment or money. We're talking about child support being money paid for a child. So if you were entitled maybe a huge windfall or a big inheritance, and maybe your financial situation changed for the better, maybe that could be increased sometimes. And I guess the opposite could be true. If you lose your job, you no longer have the income you once had. Maybe at that time the court awarded the child a certain payment now you just can't make. And so what are your options there? Like, how do you make this happen? I've heard of it happening, but
I think that he just gave the perfect answer.
He got it.
The thing though that triggers that, whenever those life situation changes, you have to be proactive and go down to the court. Because the court, of course, doesn't keep its finger on every case. So it won't know when I lose a job or when I get an increase. So the parties then have to file with the court. So let's say I was making $200 a month payment and I lose my job. So now I can't pay $200. It is then up to me to go down to family court, file the paperwork ask for a modification. And let's say I change jobs and now instead of making $200 a month, I'm making $600. Then it's up to the custodial parent meaning the person who has the child.
Okay.
It's up to them then to notify the court and ask for a modification based on the circumstances that has changed.
So is that something an individual can do, like you say?
Correct.
You don't need to hire a lawyer to go and that's something you can do.
Individuals can do that. What you will find though is the custodial parent more times than not will have DHR doing their child support because they do that for enforcement. And then they just notify the worker with DHR, and that worker will then file with the court, and the court sets a date and they go in and have that modification. But the 10%, there has to be a 10% change.
Okay,
to
that's kind of
trigger
to kind of warrant
trigger
it.
that. Yes.
Okay. You can't go back every.
No, we would have a clogged up system.
Right, it's bad enough as it is, right? I'm
yes,
sure.
there would be a clogged up system.
Another question we have here: if I have had a child with someone that I'm not married to, can I still obtain child support?
Yeah, I assume yes.
And he
Yes,
would assume
right?
correctly.
That's right.
I don't think that has to do with the marriage at all. It's
No.
just simply, now there may be some requirements, and if someone is disputing whether they're the father of that child, I guess you would actually have to go and get a
Right.
paternity test
Correct.
done. Or I guess there is an inference if the name is on the child's birth certificate
There's a
that you're
presumption,
the father,
yes.
then therefore you'd be responsible for the payments.
Right.
Or it'd be up to you to go and disprove those things.
It would be. So there are ways that paternity is established in Alabama. Either you're the legal father, meaning you were married and the child was born within the time of the marriage, or you could be the putative father. And Alabama has a putative father register, which a lot of people don't know. Meaning if we're dating, he has reason to think the child is his, he can go down and put his name on the list.
Okay.
Or you could place it on the birth certificate and do that affidavit of paternity. So either one of those. Even with putting your name on the birth certificate, if for some reason later on you may think the child is not yours, you can certainly file and do a paternity test to establish that. Now, in the case where you are married and you may think, okay, you're at a divorce section and you think the child is not yours, you would have to ask the court for a DNA. Now, let's say we're married and somebody else thinks the child is theirs.
Right.
They cannot, because the law presumes the child to be the husband's.
Okay.
And the husband is the only person that can say it's not his.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it makes for an interesting time.
I'll
It
say.
does, yeah.
Sound like a
Yeah.
Lifetime movie.
That is-
I think.
Exactly.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
Yes, it does. But you can definitely establish, I would think adjudication is the best way to establish paternity outside of a marriage.
Right. And so, yeah, I think that definitely answers the question.
Curious question here before we head to another break. If I do not send my children to school, can I get in trouble? I think the answer is yes.
That's a definite
yeah,
yes. Yes, the schools, and I have to say the schools do a really good job in keeping up with this. But there's something called a VASCO, so it's the violation of mandatory attendance, school attendance.
Okay.
And the school will file that. However, prior to filing that, they really try to work with parents to make sure that whatever the situation is, they can address those. But when they do file, the courts are very serious about that, and you can actually end up with some jail time.
The parents.
The parents,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow.
So that's not a choice.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
No, once the child reaches school age, there's mandatory attendance rules.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Get those kids in school.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, if you've always wanted to say, hey, Alexa, set a timer for when the attorneys comes on. You're going
right.
to get a chance to do that. How you can win this. 2 of these are going to be won by someone. It could be you. We'll tell you how coming up after the break.
I'm attorney Bobby Bell with Hollis Wright Law Firm. In today's world, social media is all around us. It is common for many people to post on social media regarding their life and activities on a daily basis. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and similar social media are a great way to stay connected to others and to share your experiences and thoughts. Some seemingly innocent social media posts, however, can have devastating effects if you're involved in litigation, especially in a personal injury claim, a contested divorce, or a child custody battle. Courts regularly allow adverse parties access to the other side's social media accounts, allowing relevant posts to be presented as evidence. These rules have allowed social media to become a hotbed of information in the litigation world. In fact, we are seeing more and more preservation orders issued by courts requiring you to collect and save any and all social media activity. Therefore, it's advisable that even before there's litigation, lawyers should advise their clients that social media content may be discoverable. Here are a few helpful tips. 1. Do not post anything about the case. This includes posts regarding conversations or meetings with your attorneys, remarks about your injuries, negative remarks about the opposing party. Do not post anything you would not want read in open court to either a judge or a jury. 2. Avoid new friend requests from people you do not know. Many law firms and insurance offices may attempt to have employees follow you on social media in an attempt to gain information. 3. Limit adding new photos, check-ins, photo tagging, etc. Seemingly innocent posts may be used against you. Regular check-ins at restaurants, parties, or other events with friends can cast doubt on any claims of loss of enjoyment of life, pain and suffering, or emotional distress, since you appear to be living life as usual. 4. Increase your privacy settings. Many social media sites frequently update and change their privacy settings. In the litigation context, it is possible you may have to preserve and present anything you posted. Therefore, we encourage you to be smart and careful when using social media. Please remember, your call, email, or text to the attorneys is free. All of us at Hollis Wright want to help answer your questions on real issues you face. Remember, a competent lawyer will respond to every question you send in. That's our pledge and promise to you. Thanks for watching The Attorneys on WVTM 13.
Welcome back into The Attorneys. Just a few minutes remaining, so about 5-6 minutes remaining for you to pick up a phone and take advantage of the opportunity to speak with an attorney from Hollis Wright. Be sure and take advantage of that opportunity. Here with Tyler Vail leading the conversation tonight. We've talked a lot about this Amazon Echo show. You guys are giving this away. How is that going to take place?
That's right. We're giving a couple away on actually this Tuesday.
Right.
At 12 o'clock on Facebook Live. We'll do a drawing and award 2 viewers who have either liked and shared our Facebook page, our Hollis Wright Facebook page, or our Hollis Wright Instagram.
Right.
You can follow us on Instagram or Facebook, and you'll automatically be entered into this drawing. And yeah, Tuesday we'll draw 2 names and see who the winners are.
So 2 of these are going to someone to be entered to win. What you need to do, go to Facebook, Instagram, and follow the information there, and you could be entered to win 2 of these. So best of luck. And that giveaway again is at noon coming up on Tuesday.
That's right.
Noon on Tuesday. All right, let's get back to our conversation here, talking about family law. Got a question here. It says, if I'm being abused, harassed, or stalked by a family member or someone with whom I've had a prior dating relationship, is there anything I can do through the court system?
There is something that you can do. If you feel like your life or that of your child or someone in your care has been threatened, you go down and file what we call a PFA, which is a protection from abuse petition. More times than not, you will get a temporary order at that time, and then they'll set it for a hearing so that the other person can be notified to come in and give their side of what is going on. But the court definitely takes somebody's life seriously, and they are going to get a temporary order before there's a hearing set.
Okay, so there's the protective order. Was that a restraining order?
It's kind of like a restraining order.
Is there different? Okay, I know that's what I would have called it. I haven't heard the proper term for it. And I'm sure most folks, hey, when they call like, hey, I need to get a restraining order against so-and-so, but that's kind of the process, and it's actually a protective order.
It actually works as a protective order. Okay. It stops them from coming around to the person's home, to their workplace, to school if the children are
Sets
involved.
criteria, maybe not.
Oh yeah,
so
there's
close
definitely
to an individual
parameters set up.
Okay.
Correct.
And how long is that usually enforced? If it's determined that those people are correct and this person does need to stay away, is that for
at least a year? At least a year.
Okay.
At least, and sometimes it's even longer, depending on the issues that are involved.
Okay.
Another question we've got here, something that seems to be more common, grandparents' rights, and this issue, a question pertaining to that. How have grandparent visitation rights changed over the years and in the time you've been practicing this? Because they seem to be kind of changing.
It has changed several times. I think right now the court looks at whether the grandparents have had a lot of interaction with a child, and whether giving them access to a child is in the best interest of the child. And as you know, that's the standard for family court, is what's in the best interest of the child. So will visitation with the grandparents promote health? Will it for the child now, not for the parents?
Yeah,
it's for the child. So is it going to help the child? It's going to be healthy for the child. Is it beneficial? Now we're seeing quite a few of those being filed by grandparents. But if you realize in family court, a lot of the children are being raised by grandparents who come in when there's a dependency issue. But in certain situations where sometimes the times I've seen grandparents filing for it is one parent have died. and for whatever reason, the grandparent may not have a good relationship with now the custodian of the parent. And so they're almost being cut out of that child's life. And they will file just so that they can have something on paper that gives them that right to visit. And the court looks at, is that going to be beneficial for the child?
Right.
Or is it going to be more disruptive to have that grandparent involved with the child's life?
Got you.
All right.
Man.
We're running low on time, but I want to get one other question we've got here is about common law marriage and in the state of Alabama. So how has that changed as well, the kind of the acceptance of common law marriage?
I don't know that it's the acceptance,
Right.
but I think it's the legality.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
really
a good point,
changed.
right, right.
So if it has not been established by, actually time's passed, January of this year, well actually last year, so
17,
2017,
Okay.
it can no longer be established. And to establish that, you must hold each other out as spouse.
Correct.
There's no time frame. It could be, I could move in with you today.
Right.
And tomorrow I'm telling everybody that you're my husband.
Right.
You're telling somebody I'm your wife.
Yeah.
It's established.
That's
A lot of times you will see them place them on their insurance,
Right.
on a lot of their important legal documents. And that pretty much establishes it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Believe it or not, we're just about out of time, but I want to give both of you the opportunity for a final thought, and we'll start with you,
Okay.
Stephanie, please, first.
I would say family law, as Tyler pointed out earlier, touches everybody, touches every community. And I think it's time that we really start being more of a village to our children, because if we don't have healthy children, we're not going to get anywhere. And I mean, we've almost lost a generation. So we've got to start protecting our children. And I think that's what family law does. It protects the children. It makes us really have a fiduciary duty to them to make sure they're healthy. So become mandatory reporters. You see something going on with a child that's not, you don't think it's in the best interest of that child, report it. Right. Don't just say somebody else is going to do
That's
it.
good.
That's a great point. And a lot of times family law, and a lot of people think of, divorce, and maybe wrongly so, but they think of divorce and issues like that. But family law, you're dealing with very serious situations. I mean, we've touched on a few tonight. We're talking about getting protective orders. We're talking about if you're in abusive relationships, or it's abusive to the child, or people just trying to see their grandchildren, or people trying to keep other people away from their children. And if you just put yourself in that situation and think, man, what would be the best interest of my child, you may need to have some of those conversations. And all I can say is, like I said, our firm doesn't handle this, but Stephanie does a fantastic job. Not only is she a great lawyer, she's a wonderful person. And if you don't, get that feel from her after watching the show, you're just not going to get it. She will take care of you, and so I would encourage anyone going through these issues to give her a call.
Well, thanks to both of you for being with us. Appreciate the time
Thank you
very much. We appreciate you being with us as well. Don't forget, we'll look for you on Tuesday. Coming up Tuesday at noon, we're giving away this Amazon Echo show. Go to Instagram, Facebook, enter to win. Just follow those directions, and best of luck. Hope you win. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time right here on The Attorneys.
Thanks for watching The Attorneys, sponsored by Hollis Wright.